ruling allowing a woman to speak about her rape ordeal has been welcomed. Western Cape High Court overturned the Cape Town Magistrate's court's order that blocked the woman from sharing her experience to anyone. She was raped in 2015, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, who took the legal route to silence her. For more on this story, we're joined now by the WISE Collective Director, that's Advocate Brenda Madumise-Pajibo, who joins us via our video link this morning. Advocate, it's great to have you with us on the program. Thanks very much for coming on. I think perhaps as a start, could you give us some background to how the story first unfolded?
Yeah, the story unfolded in this manner, and thank you for this opportunity. The victim, who we also supported, so in this case, we went to the High Court because of the decision of the Magistrate Court. She had applied for a protection order against her former boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And the Magistrate Court really decided not to grant her protection order and went even further to say that she should not even talk about her rape ordeal to anyone, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where the story comes from. She had been in a relationship with this gentleman for a while, and decided to break up with the guy, and the guy had made threats and during the relationship there was incidences of physical and emotional abuse, to the point where his own mother decided that they would take him in for therapy. Yeah. So there was a history of abuse. Right? And the rape happened because he did not accept that the woman wanted to terminate the relationship. So she had to apply for a protection order to stop him from continuous harassment, because she was receiving and she was being harassed by his family, his friends. It was just too much.
And I understand.
And she went to the Magistrate Court to apply for a protection order, and that's where it starts from. Yeah. Right? So the court rules against her. Then the Women's Legal Center decided to take up the matter to the High Court. Mm-hmm. And ourselves as WISE and Center for Applied Legal Studies became friends of the court to support the Women's Legal Center's application to the High Court in the Western Cape. Mm.
Now, I understand that she spoke to her immediate friends and her family about what happened to her. She sought help from a counselor, and she posted, this is why this gag order was first, I suppose, imposed. She posted about her experience in what was meant to be a private and anonymous social media platform. And she actually named her rapist there, she says, to try and warn others, also to try and seek healing, community and support from other women who had similar incidents of sexual violence against them. But what was meant to be a private chat group was made public by someone who was part of that group. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And you will see in the judgment, and what we appreciate with this judgment is that the two judges, Justice Tulare and Henny, really took time and took context into account, which is rarely done in matters like these. They were thorough because they took all of that. They took the history of this case and came to the conclusion that they came to, because it was supported by facts, right? And what is telling with this judgment is that once you ignore the context and me as a victim of abuse or even rape, that I speak about it and I'm told I should not, but I have a litany of evidence that shows that what I did to try and demonstrate that this is a fact. They didn't ignore it. The second thing that they did was they emphasized that conviction or even not reporting a case to the police cannot make your story untrue. Yeah. Right? Because we keep on telling women all the time, when a woman comes out, whenever she feels comfortable to come out, that I have been violated, sexually violated, assaulted, we normally ask the question, why did she wait this long? She must go to the police and report, right? And the two justices deal with that succinctly and correctly, and they point out that cannot be used against a woman, because we know the justice system in this country when it comes to gender-based violence cases. They say it. They quote other cases. There's case law to that effect, and they say it cannot be used against victims of violence all the time, that they should, their lived experience can be ignored because they didn't report it, or the person that they claim to have violated them has not been convicted. Yeah. So for us, that is victory.
Yeah, that was actually my next question to you, Advocate. The issue around, I wanted to ask you, the original court decision, was that backed up by the fact that the rape was not, there was no rape conviction in court?
Yes, yeah, and that's what the magistrate kept. You can't talk about it because, one, on your own version, you did not report it to the police, and this man was never convicted. Yeah, and the two justices dealt with that.
So the magistrate's court granted that protection order against your client, right? Which stated that your client was not allowed to tell anyone in any manner that this person had raped her.
Yeah. So literally, so she couldn't talk to anyone, right? I mean, that's the absurdity of it all, that it just went overboard, right? If the magistrate had said, don't post on social media, maybe, but you are gagging her completely, literally silencing her.
You may
but she
not
can't talk about
this
her
horrific experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
What kind of importance does this kind of decision now in the High Court, Advocate, have for the future of similar cases like this?
So what it does, Michelle, is it forces almost all the judges, and I want to talk about the magistracy, because that's where we find the application of the law lacking at the magistrate court level, right? So firstly, I'm hoping that magistrates are taking note and they're going to read this judgment and apply their minds once a matter comes before them. They don't just do it for the sake of doing it and for just not applying their minds, and this is the issue, right? So I want to believe that they're going to stop and take account and start to look at facts when they come before them, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that it also helps with all the other courts, in the higher courts, for instance, that judges themselves, because we understand that we deal with this patriarchy and gender bias in the courts all the time, right? That is going to force them to take note and start to look at these matters differently, because we're pushing a particular position in our submissions in the application. So if you read our submissions to the courts, you can see that we are starting to force the courts to look at gender-based violence and cases of sexual assault, violation, and rape differently, right? And start to accept the fact that women do have lived experiences, and these experiences of sexual violence and assault cannot be discounted. Yeah. Right? And that's very important. That you cannot use conviction and use not laying charges the police as a way of saying someone is lying, and start to say that their credibility cannot be trusted.
Or in this case, as a way of gagging someone. Advocate Brenda Madumise-Pajibo, let me thank you for your time this morning. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but that judgment in the High Court saying that the woman involved in this case was trying to be heard, was trying to find healing, and was trying to protect others from suffering the same fate, and that it was her right, it is her right, to speak out and express herself about the experiences that she endured, as you say, outside of a conviction even. Advocate, thanks very much indeed for joining us on this incredibly important story.